ist nicht in der Bunkeranlage.
Was soll das heißen? Sie können Fägeland nicht finden. Dann suchen Sie ihn hin! Ich will Fägeland sehen! Sofort!
Oh, hi.
Wenn er sich ohne
Yeah, you caught me in the middle of, reminiscing of old internet memes. Oh, this angry little German man. His parodies are everywhere. The idea was simple. Take the movie, replace all of the subtitles, and make them say funny things. And it was really funny, and it took off like wildfire because it was easy to reproduce. But you know what the horribly depressing thing is? I'm not laughing. There's actually nothing funny about this movie. My name is Hunter, and this is Downfall. Hello, my name is Hunter, the movie reviewing pony, because when it comes to cinema, humans cannot be trusted. And given today's example, clearly. Hitler is the most despised person in human history. Chairman Mao, Attila the Hun, Stalin. Stalin was at least trying to kill Hitler. Other dictators and royal asshats that they tell you about in school or on the internet, it all eventually just comes back to Hitler. Because this man built an empire on hatred and his own bias. He alone was responsible for the deaths of millions for no good reason. Auschwitz? That was his doing. And that's why every single depiction of Hitler is either comedic, mocking, or downright paints him as the devil incarnate. Tom Cruise tried to blow him up. Even Scientology is against this guy. There is no cinematic universe on the planet where Hitler is the good guy. So it only makes sense that when Oliver Hirschbiegel came forth and said that he wanted to make a movie where Hitler was the protagonist, people got a little bit concerned about that. Der Untergang, or Downfall in English, is a movie based off of two books. Inside Hitler's Bunker, which was written by a historian, and Until the Final Hour, which was written by Hitler's former private secretary. And first-hand accounts from Hitler's private secretary, because she's in the movie. In fact, a lot of this movie is seemingly shot from her perspective. In a lot of ways, she's the main character. But don't worry, this movie is very much about the sad man. And yeah, this movie does not interpret Hitler in a good light at all. In fact, he's portrayed as this man who is losing control of those who are closest to him. These are the final days of the war. The Russians are 12 kilometers from the city center. But rather than give up and surrender, why would he surrender? There's no future for him. This man has committed unspeakable acts against humanity. He'd rather drag down his entire nation with him. This is Hitler at his most desperate moment in life. The end of his life. He's trying so hard to maintain what inner circle he has left, but in the end, he can't. And it's not just about Hitler's inner circle or the people closest to him either. Every now and then we take a look around Berlin. We're sometimes following this doctor guy, sometimes there's this kid turned soldier, and there's a bunch of others. These people are tired, and some of them are even questioning their loyalty, among other things in this movie. This woman right here drugs and murders her children because she can't imagine a world where Hitler isn't the Fuhrer. He's already declared that the war is lost, but he won't surrender. In fact, I think he becomes a bit delusional as this movie goes on. Can you blame the guy, though? His world is crumbling around him. He sends one of his generals off north because he says there's 500 jets waiting for him to command. Those jets probably don't exist. But as reality slowly but surely sets in, he becomes quieter. He talks less until finally...
Volltreffer!
This isn't meant to be a happy movie. This isn't meant to be a funny movie. In fact, a lot of people might come out of this movie feeling a bit depressed, but then you remember they're all Nazis, so you don't care. All you can really do is hope that our main character makes it out okay. 'Cause at the end of this war, most of these people are just doomed husks. Nobody should cry for them, and the rest of them are just trying to get by. The rest of them blindly followed this evil, evil man, and now he's gone. What are they supposed to do with their lives? Because you have to remember, they had every opportunity to defect. In fact, some of them did. Some people did defect during this movie. But these are the people who didn't defect. So, it's not just Hitler's world that's crumbling around him. It's, by extension, their world. Everything is crumbling around them. And at this point, they have nowhere left to go. This is why I don't like the Hitler parodies. It's because this is an extremely powerful movie, and it leaves an impression on pretty much everyone who watches it. And it's completely undermined by what people are posting on the internet. Let's talk about what makes this movie great. Well, first of all, the design of this movie. I'm talking everything. The atmosphere, the scenery, the costumes, everything. Obviously, you have all of the accurate Nazi uniforms and outfits and everything, but just the atmosphere. It's dark, it's dirty, it's concrete. It's very utility, and everything that isn't utility is rubble. Every now and then we get to shoot somewhere that's more or less intact, but that's really towards the beginning of the movie, because after that, it's a siege. The city isn't just being blown up, it's being abandoned, it's being looted, so a lot of this stuff makes sense. It's not meant to be a happy movie, and it's not meant to be a pretty movie either. The color palette for this is gray and brown and black and white. Frankly, I don't even think the sky is blue until, like, the very, very end of the movie in that last shot. And the acting in this movie, oh mein Gott, schön. Everyone's acting in this movie is good, even the kid actors, and kid actors are usually garbage. But the best performance by far, and you folks probably saw this one coming, is Bruno Ganz playing Hitler. How do you portray the most hated man in human history? The short answer is exactly like this. It's almost childlike how immature Hitler can be at times. But at the end of the day, he's a really angry man. And the reason for that is obvious. He's at the end of his rope. He's got Huntington's disease, Parkinson's, has mental health problems. He's delusional. He's been prescribed over 90 medications over the past few years. And on top of all of this, his world is crumbling around him. And this phenomenal, award-winning performance by Bruno Ganz, wow. Just wow. It is written that he spent 4 months researching this role, and it shows. Rob Mackey from The Guardian describes it as the most convincing screen Hitler yet, alternating between rage and despair during his last days in the bunker. And I would actually argue that this performance has yet to be topped by anyone else who has played Hitler. It's not just him either. Everyone else in this movie puts up a really good performance. For the people in the bunker and Hitler's inner circle, you can feel the blind loyalty. For everyone else in Berlin, you could see that they're tired and worn out and stressed. It's slowly setting in to all of these people that they're on the wrong side of history with this one. And for the people who refuse to let that set in, they're growing more and more hysterical. It's honestly incredible. And this movie also has the soundtrack to back it up. None, basically. This movie has minimal music. Barely any, as a matter of fact. It's a very quiet movie. But that quietness just adds so much atmosphere to the film. It doesn't need a big, booming orchestral soundtrack or dramatic music or any of that stuff for most of the movie. All this movie really needs is the bombs falling off in the distance. That sets the tone. And you know what? I love artsy stuff like that, alright? I eat that shit up like popcorn. Another really smart thing about this movie is the way it's structured. There's no build-up, there's no climax. We start the movie at the high point. As the film goes on, reality and the gravity of their situation just sets in more and more. And it's very apparent that this movie isn't going to go out with a bang because for most of these people, they're not gonna see a better day than right now. This really comes to a head when we finally leave the bunker and start trying to leave Berlin, and we just see all of the damage and all of the lives that have been ruined. These people are now realizing that they're on the wrong side of history in this conflict, and it's too late to question whether or not they were the baddies. And from there, the movie just sort of fades away. We get a "Where Are They Now" segment, even though most of them are dead, and then that's it. Movie's over. It leaves you feeling a little bit empty, but at the same time, it just makes it a really powerful movie. And that's how I would describe this film, actually. It's an extremely powerful movie. And I would actually argue it still holds up, even today, 17 years later. And it's hard for me to actually pinpoint some flaws in this movie. Maybe it's a little overdramatic, but their world is falling apart. Maybe now's the time to be dramatic. Some people might complain that this movie's too dark or too bloody, but again, the world is falling apart. That woman who I mentioned, who drugged and murdered her children, she commits suicide. These people, they refuse to live in a world without their Führer. And you know what? It's amazing. The only real critique I can think of for this movie are the countless Hitler parodies, which completely overshadow the film. And it's a damn shame because it's a hell of a film. Now, at the end of the day, the Hitler parodies all over the internet have increased the longevity and lifespan of this movie, but I still feel like people need to witness this movie. 'Cause my final verdict on it? 9.8. Which is insanely high for stuff that I've been reviewing. Lieber Gott in Himmel, this is a good movie. I will fully admit that this movie's probably not for everyone, but it's an extremely powerful movie. And you'll be hard-pressed to find a better performance for Hitler in other movies, because this, I firmly believe, is the best Hitler performance we are ever going to get in cinematic history. In fact, the only downside to watching this movie is that once you watch it, it will ruin every single Hitler parody for you. But you know what? I'm gonna chalk that up as a good thing. So my advice is, if you're into war movies, you definitely have to check this movie out. 'Cause it's a really good interpretation of the other side of things. It's like Letters from Iwo Jima and Flags of Our Fathers. You have to watch both movies to get both sides of the story. As of this video going live, Downfall is available on YouTube to rent for $3 with full English subtitles. And it is an absolutely fantastic film. Hitler will always go down in history as one of, if not the most despised man in human history. And in my opinion, this is the one movie that does it justice. My name is Hunter, and this has been a Hunter Review. Hey guys, thanks for watching our review of Downfall. Sorry this one was kinda late, but I really wanted to get this one right. Anyway, if you want to support future reviews like this one, consider a Patreon pledge over on our Patreon. And once again, thank you to all of our Patreon donors: Saxy1, Madman1234, Craig Premium, Sam, Julian Gushway, and Mustang Drew 4. If you guys want to be thanked at the end of every single stream, Matt's Mine, Howard's Mine, Hunter Reviews episode, or Dungeons and Dorkheads, consider a Patreon pledge down via the link below. There should be a video in the coming days explaining the future of Hunter Reviews and what exactly we're gonna do with those obligatory 10 reviews that I have to do. It's not particularly bad news, it's just we need to restructure that so I'm not overworking myself. But thanks for watching, everybody. Here's some credits, and please do check out the movie. It's genuinely good.
There once was a guy who created a machine, a thing that would take people to and from some other world. And when he arrived, he had run into a pony who smiled and decided that they both should go see a film. When that movie sucked, they decided to join forces, and then they created a new show called Hunter Reviews.
So it only makes sense that when Oliver Hirschenberg... I knew this would happen.